The stock market is bullish, I get anxious. It goes bearish, I get anxious. Even if it is stable, the anxiety still remains. A lot of emotions and feelings are going up and down with those candles. So at times it becomes difficult to handle anxiety. So how do I go about this? At least the anxiety part.
So are you talking about the stock market or are you talking about your nature?
It reflects what is going on in the market. It reflects on me.
So it is only associated with market or other things in life as well?
So this gives a bigger kick. That's what I feel.
You mean a bigger anxiety? So because you said when it is bullish, you are anxious. When it is bearish, you are anxious. So the common theme is about anxiety and not necessarily whether the stocks are going up or coming down. That has got nothing to do with your anxiety. It is as it appears as if you enjoy being anxious.
Oh, I'll add to it that probably I have taken a certain position, and so it's going up and going down. So that
Why are you anxious when it is bullish?
probably I then have to take a position accordingly, and
So it's the word is not anxious, the word is indecisive. You are not able to take a position whether I should sell now that it is bullish or I should hold on. That is your dilemma. So it's not anxiety, but it's indecisiveness.
indecisiveness. I would not relate that with the way the stock market is functioning. I have taken a certain position, and because
No, my question was, why are you anxious when the market is bullish?
I have to take a position somewhere.
Meaning what?
I have to either buy a stock.
So you have to take a decision, not take a position. You have to take a decision, and you are unable to take a decision. That's why there is anxiety. So that's precisely what I was saying, that it is not anxiety or it's not stock market. It is your inability to take a decision. Okay? So let's address indecisiveness. Because the result of indecisiveness is anxiety. Because when you are indecisive, you are not taking a step. मैं इधर जाऊं कि उधर जाऊं? When you are in that position, you are neither here, you are not, nor are you there. And that causes you anxiety. Where am I? So how do I address my indecisiveness? Because once that is sorted out, your anxiety is gone. Your next statement was, when the market is bearish, I am anxious. Why?
Because I have taken a certain position, or
Which means you have bought something and those stocks have crashed, and now you have a worry that you are losing money. Okay? So, okay, now I understand what you are aiming at. You are talking about stock market because that is what your time is getting occupied in. And a large portion of your time is invested in monitoring the stocks, and you have invested a lot of your money in stocks, and sometimes the stocks go up and you are unable to decide whether this is the time to liquidate the stocks, and when the stocks go down, you are worried whether it will again regain the position and whether you will make the money again. So got it. Now why are you indecisive? There are basically, in any situation, forget the stock market, in any situation, when is a person indecisive? In absence of knowledge. If I am knowledgeable, then there is no indecision. If I know what is going to happen, then I know what steps I must take. Take the example of an illness. Yeah, common example anybody can understand. I'm getting fever. I go to a doctor and the doctor says do blood test, and the blood test reveals malaria. Now I know for a fact that malaria has ABCD medicines, if I take them as prescribed by the doctor for the number of days the prescription is valid, my malaria will be cured. Okay? Same situation, I have fever and I have been getting fever in the past, and my history says that when I get fever I should consume paracetamol, crocin, and my fever subsides. In a couple of days I am back to normal. So I start consuming paracetamol. And now it is 4 days and my fever has not gone, which is breaking the pattern of my historical experiences. In 2 days I should have been alright. Now it is 4 days and my fever continues. Why? Because I don't have knowledge about this fever which I have got today. I am assuming that this fever is the same as my historic fevers which got healed in 2 days. And I took the same decision of consuming crocin, but the fever is not going. Why? Because I don't have the knowledge that I have malaria. That knowledge comes when I visit the doctor, when I do the blood test and the report reveals malaria. The treatment is entirely different. Paracetamol doesn't work. Your indecision is because you don't have the knowledge of how the stocks will trend. I'm not a stock market person, but logic is I must have the knowledge of how the trends go. Are they going northwards? Are they going southwards? What are the affecting causes? I'm told on the day of election, the stock market, the day of the results of the election, the stock market in the morning crashed by 2,500 points. And it was a major crash. Now, that crash could be permanent depending on which government is coming, and that crash could be temporary out of an alarm situation that, oh my God, what is happening? And then I was told that in the evening the stock market recovered. I don't know by how many points. So, if you are a stock market player, then you should be on your toes in acquiring the information relevant to the movement of the stocks, either upwards or downwards. Then you are in a position to take a knowledgeable decision and not an assumed decision. When you take a knowledgeable decision, like the case of malaria, it was a knowledgeable decision that now I must treat myself for 7 days with this medicine. Similarly, you take a knowledgeable decision, I will liquidate these stocks, I will hold on to these stocks, or I will buy new stocks.
I would just like to say that we spoke about malaria. Malaria, it is a science. So if I have this is the solution. The stock market is not a science. I think it is an art. If I feel the market is going to go up, you feel the market is going to go down, and accordingly we take our own decisions. Now these decisions may be right, may be wrong, and one more reason is that the market is very sensitive to any news anywhere in the world. So this is more of an art, and it's not like 2 plus 2 is 4. If 2 plus 2 is 4, today or tomorrow everybody will learn that, and everybody would have made money. But it's still, sometimes it is 3, sometimes it is 5. So it's still an art, and that anxiety part that I'm saying, it still remains and gets cultivated over a period of time.
The practice of any particular subject is an art, but the knowledge of that subject is a science. Otherwise, the stock analysts, people who analyze stock market movements, wouldn't have succeeded. There are analysts in the market who are full-time analyzing the stock markets and their trends and making predictions. Sometimes predictions also go wrong. The recent example is the exit poll predictions. They all went wrong. But the incidences of going wrong vis-a-vis the incidences of being right. The wrong decisions are very few and the right decisions are plenty. That makes you an expert. Otherwise, who would call you an expert? If your decisions are up and down, sometimes wrong and sometimes right, then you're not an expert in that subject. If your decisions are by and large right and occasionally they can go wrong, as happens with any field, even in the medical field, the diagnosis can go completely wrong. I mean, there have been cases where people have been treated for the full course of malaria and still the fever didn't vanish. And then the doctor discovers something else was the cause of the fever and not malaria. So, though medical field is a science, mistakes happen. The same thing applies for your stock market cases. And since I'm not a stock market person, but whatever I have heard and whatever discussions I have had with people, they say that stock market is not for speculators. Because speculation is gamble. And in gamble, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. By and large, you lose. Stock market is for investors. So, are you an investor or a speculator?
It's not. I'm not a speculator, but investor, yes, to a certain extent, investor, and to a certain extent, a trader also. So there is some risk involved. There is some study involved. It's a combination of a lot of things.
So, if you are an investor, then stock market is a science. But if you are a trader or a speculator, then it's an art. Now, do you want to combine the science and the art? Then you are going to minimize your losses.
It's like a balancing.
It's a balancing act. So there has to be a knowledge base and there has to be the ability to be fluid in quick decisions. Now, when you say I am indecisive, obviously you are not a quick decision maker. That's why you are indecisive. If you are a quick decision maker, who is a quick decision maker? A guy who is willing to take risks. He takes quick decisions. Take the example of a batsman facing a fast bowler. He has to judge the length, he has to judge the speed, he has to judge the height. And then he has to decide whether he has to defend or he has to hit an aggressive shot. Time available to him, split seconds. Yeah. So, if he is a quick decision maker, he turns out to be a good batsman. Even without technique. Not the copybook bat pad close together. He could be a Virendra Sehwag whose bat is somewhere else and his leg is somewhere else. And yet, he times the ball perfectly and he scores tons of runs. Yeah. Subject is timing. Timing is quick decisions. So, if you are indecisive, obviously you start with a handicap of not being a quick decision maker. So, speculation and trading is not your field. Then investing is your field. Then you should be an investor in the stock market and not a trader and speculator, because trader means you have to capitalize on the instance. Quick decision making.
So, coming to life and breath, how can I prepare myself to deal with such situations?
So good question. So you must understand that we are talking of life and breath. We are not talking of fluid financial situations. What it can enable you to do, the program in life and breath, is to make you strong enough to sustain the shocks. It will not give you an ability to make quick decisions because that is not your inherent nature. Life and breath as a program will not make you a quick decision maker. What it will give you is the mental strength to absorb the shocks and not get perturbed or anxious. Your anxiety factor will reduce, but your stock market success may not change because you are still the same indecisive person.
Need that knowledge.
Yes, you need the subject knowledge, which Life and Breath program doesn't teach you how to handle stock markets. Yeah, and by breathing and by meditation, you become a quick decision maker. That will also not happen because that's your nature. You like to ponder over subjects. You want to dwell on a subject before you take decision. Quick decision makers are risk takers. Risk takers don't evaluate. They take risks with a strong heart that if this risk fails me, I'm willing to take the knock.
Absorb the loss.
Yes. So you are not a risk taker. You like to ponder, you like to evaluate, you like to calculate. That takes time. And that's why I say that you would make a good investor, but not a good speculator. So first you identify yourself.
So not exactly speculation, but doing some study.
Trading is part and parcel of that, no? Because market is always fluctuating. Your mind has to fluctuate along with the market. Are you quick enough in that fluctuation? Or do you take time? By the time you take a decision, market has gone to some other level. So you have missed the bus.
So for me to catch that bus, do I need to physically make myself capable of?
This is not a physical conditioning. This is the conditioning of your mental processes. Some people for me, unless I go through the whole setup in my mind and unless I come to the logic, I find it very difficult to take decisions. So I must have the background knowledge before I come to a decision. This is on subjects which I consider serious in my life. Subjects which I don't consider serious in my life. For example, किसी ने बोला इसमें इन्वेस्ट कर, कितना है पैसा, इतना पैसा है, हाँ ठीक है कर ले. Mentally I am ready, वो पैसा गया तो गया, कोई बात नहीं. So there I don't do any calculations. In my mind I am prepared for the loss. I invest with a sense कि ये जाने वाला है. Okay. But if you ask me, ये property खरीद ले, I will take my time. Maybe by that time the property will be sold, I will lose that opportunity. But I cannot take decisions just like that. So again, you have to identify yourself in what category you are. From what you have said, you like to ponder, you like to think. And in that process, the opportunity is lost, and that is causing anxiety. The anxiety is out of indecision and not because of the stock market.